The story begins with a man writhing in agony from a sharp pain in his chest. Unable to afford a doctor, he endures the pain, coughing up blood on his old, tattered futon. The physical pain is intense, but the mental anguish is far worse. He had tried to live an honest life with a job, marriage, a child, and a house. But everything fell apart. Buried in debt, working multiple part-time jobs, and unable to see his daughter, he was unfairly accused of cheating and stealing. He lost his job and was constantly harassed by debt collectors. He felt overwhelmed and wondered where it all went wrong. Suddenly, a man in a fancy striped coat appeared by his bedside, carrying a bag. This mysterious visitor even seemed to see the man's beloved pet, who had passed away long ago. The visitor explained that he wasn't there to lead him to the afterlife, but to offer him a fresh start. Using magic, he revealed a live conversation between the man's ex-wife and her lover. It turned out his ex-wife had dumped all her problems onto him, and even worse, his daughter wasn't biologically his. He was only responsible for her on paper, yet he had to pay child support. As the man listened, anger consumed him. He had noticed some warning signs before, but had brushed them off, thinking he was just overthinking things. His difficult life had brought him to this miserable point. The guide offered him a choice of different worlds for his next life, taking into account his unhappy past. Thinking it over, the man learned that his boss had framed him for a crime. Fueled by rage, he expressed his desire for revenge, but the guide could only offer a happier afterlife. Tears welled up in the man's eyes as he begged for revenge, but the guide could only let him choose his next world. Feeling overwhelmed, the man reluctantly picked a world filled with machines and space battleships, where people lived 7 times longer. Despite the promise of a longer and happier life, revenge was all he truly desired. In this new world where the nobles held power despite advanced technology, he decided to live as a villain. Deceived and mocked in his previous life, he embraced a life of evil, rejecting the idea of living honestly, as it seemed futile in a world where old-fashioned feudalism had returned. His new life revolved around power, domination, and the pursuit of his wicked desires. As he lost consciousness, the guide's true intentions became clear. He enjoyed seeing the man suffer and admitted he caused the man's unhappiness just for fun. He liked watching others in pain and laughed as he confessed to messing with the man's ex-wife and her lover to make the man's life terrible. Content with his cruel actions, the guide decided to end the situation. He controlled the lover into breaking up with the woman, pointing out all her mistakes, and refusing to take responsibility for a child who wasn't his. She cried and begged not to be left alone, but he didn't care about being with a cheater. The guide found the whole thing amusing as she was left alone. She started thinking about her late husband, and the guide found it amusing because she was the one responsible for his death. He speculated on her future, knowing she would still lead a miserable life. His goal was to watch the man, who had died, suffer even in his next life's final moments. Just then, a small light entered the room, transforming into a dog. It observed as the guide condemned the man's soul to a world where lives were easily ruined. The guide looked forward to the man's future misery, confident that he could fool anyone on Earth into believing in reincarnation with some clever talking. As the guide left through a door, the dog followed without him noticing. True to his promise, the man was reborn into a noble family with a new name, Sera Banfield. The guide made sure Liam became the son of a count who ruled a planet. Embracing his desire to be an evil lord, Liam wondered if a life of indulgence awaited him. But that didn't matter as long as he could live life his way. A letter arrived, hinting at the guide's help, just as Liam's parents came in to wish him a happy 5th birthday and bestow upon him their title and land. His mother even offered to get him a customizable robot made. Liam decided to make the robot made perfect, including personal preferences. His parents praised his choice, and Liam wondered if this was the guide's doing. With his perfect robot made and no parents around, Liam felt grateful to the guide. His parents told him they were moving to a big mansion in the city and asked him to sign some papers for their pension. Excited about the future, Liam signed happily. Long ago, the world was controlled by artificial intelligence until humans rebelled and set up their own government, encouraging self-reliance over AI dependence. On his way to the capital, Liam discovered his parents weren't good parents. They dumped all their problems on him while they enjoyed life in the capital. Unaware he was being used, Liam felt proud of being the boss in his area, even though his power was limited. One day, his butler Brian told him about a robot maid named Amaji, who was coming to help. Liam found it amusing that Amaji only needed a couple of hours of maintenance each week and could be easily customized. Ignoring Brian's warnings, Liam made inappropriate moves on Amaji and struggled to understand his area's report when shown digital data. Realizing he needed to improve, an advisor AI suggested using an education capsule to gain knowledge and strength, which would take 6 months. Brian disliked the idea because the Empire frowned upon AI reliance, but Amaji left the decision to Liam. Liam decided to use the education capsule, knowing he needed to become a strong leader. Meanwhile, in a bar in Liam's area, a bartender and customer discussed the new lord. They hoped for positive changes, even if small, now that Liam was in control. 2 years passed since Liam took over, and his castle, designed by the old boss, was in bad shape. Brian, loyal to Liam, respected his great-grandfather Alistair Sera Banfield, who had served well, but the new generation spent money recklessly, piling up debts. Brian locked the office door one day, showing Liam the mansion's terrible condition. Liam, determined to start fresh, decided to tear down the old castle and build a new one, letting go of the current employees. His robot-made AI suggested rehiring them after proper training for the new castle. She also proposed sorting out their fleet, reducing 30,000 ships to 3,000 to save money. Brian worried about other nobles and space pirates, but Amaji argued 1,000 ships would suffice against pirates, and the current fleet members lacked skills. Liam decided to let go of the fleet to eliminate ineffective members. Despite Brian's concerns about AI dependence, Liam focused on rebuilding the fleet and matching his status. Brian, uneasy, remembered Alistair's determination. Liam then asked Amaji for a hug and acted playfully, leaving Brian unsure how to react. Exploring his land, Liam found it in worse shape than his previous world, with struggling people and a backward feel. Frustrated, he questioned why his ancestors hadn't improved the land. Amaji explained that gradual improvement was typical, and most nobles let it happen naturally. Liam questioned the guide's truthfulness, but Amaji clarified that wise tax investment could enhance the land over 20 years. Realizing the need for personal power, Liam sought martial arts training for self-defense and strength, refusing to be powerless again. Despite Amaji's attempts to stop him, Liam remained determined and asked her to find the best teacher. Meanwhile, the guide watched Liam's old wife, struggling and tired in old clothes, finding satisfaction in her suffering. The guide saw an opportunity to manipulate Liam, knowing he preferred artificial companions due to trust issues. Desiring power, the guide sent Yasushi, a highly skilled individual, to assist Liam, hoping he would accept Yasushi's help. The guide planned to meet Liam again in a different form later on. At Banfield's base on Port Yasushi, a new guide arrived. Yasushi had taken the job as an instructor on this remote planet to pay off his debts. He met Liam at his house, introduced himself, and warned Liam about the dangers of his martial arts moves. Yasushi insisted that Liam's guardian, Amaji, leave, but she refused. Reluctantly, Liam agreed to let Amaji go, but not before she gave Liam a device to detect any cheats. Once Amaji left, Yasushi demonstrated a stunning move, drawing and sheathing his sword so quickly that it sliced through wooden logs in a blink. The cheat detecting device didn't catch anything. Liam was impressed and curious, but Yasushi told him he'd learned the secret through training. Despite his impressive display, Yasushi was actually a con artist with no real expertise in sword fighting, and he was relieved the device was broken and couldn't detect his tricks. Liam progressed quickly in his training, much to Yasushi's satisfaction. Yasushi, pretending to be an expert, even started watching videos online to find more techniques to teach Liam. Meanwhile, people spoke poorly of the Banfield family, but Yasushi couldn't understand why Liam, a hard-working guy, wanted to become stronger when he had people to protect him. Yasushi also discovered that nobles often pushed their debts and duties onto their children, worrying him about his own fate if his deception was uncovered. The new mansion was finished, simpler and more spacious than the old one. In his office, Amaji reminded Liam it was time to enter the education capsule again, a process that would take 6 months. The capsule could provide years' worth of knowledge in a short time. Liam was determined to learn as much as possible before adulthood, so he left Amaji in charge of the territory. While Liam was in the capsule, a man covered in jewels came in with a file of expenses, claiming they were necessary for his job. Amaji revealed that he had been stealing money, which was harming the territory. When confronted, the man brazenly smiled, which infuriated Liam. Amaji detailed more of his corrupt actions, including bribery and theft. In a moment of rage, Liam killed the man. Amaji cleaned up the mess and tried to calm Liam down, advising him to find all officials involved in corruption and punish them. Liam decided to buy 30 AI machines to monitor the territory, trusting AI more than people. Outside the territory, in a bar, people gossiped about Liam's recent actions. They heard he punished corrupt officials and was making kids go to school longer. Some folks didn't like his changes, but most thought he was fair, causing the nobles to worry about the future. Liam replaced the previous staff with new workers. Brian, in charge, warned the workers not to disrespect Amaji, who Liam deeply trusted, possibly due to his parents abandoning him as a child. Liam, now 30, focused on mastering the sword, despite his frustration at not improving. Yasushi advised him to learn magic as well, suggesting a decade-long commitment to mastering it. Yasushi secretly planned to escape once he had enough money, while continuing to train Liam with heavier swords. Liam's relentless progress impressed Yasushi, who found an old humanoid figure and suggested using it for training. Despite Amaji's objections, Yasushi insisted, seeing it as the best method for Liam's growth. Amaji, suspecting Yasushi's true nature, decided to fulfill his order. The mobile knight from the Empire factory required significant funds, but Amaji was committed to protecting Liam. The next day, Liam recognized Amaji by her footsteps and asked about the mobile knight's progress. Frustrated, Amaji reported Yasushi's insistence on using the old model, but Liam trusted Yasushi's judgment and continued his training. In a local bar, patrons discussed the rapid changes in the territory. A customer praised the owner's success, while they both wondered about the future under Liam's rule. The owner reminisced about the golden era 500 years ago, contrasting it with the current lord's silent reign over the past 2 decades.